Hi there, friends. Happy Thursday. It is Thursday, May 23rd. Can you believe we have just about a week left? 8 days left of May? I don't know where this time is going. But if you are in the United States, you know that Monday is a federal holiday, Memorial Day. Some people consider it the unofficial beginning of summer. So there are lots of celebrations going on, but just a reminder to remember the true meaning of Memorial Day. That's the day that we honor to choose that we choose to honor our servicemen and women who have paid the ultimate price for our country. Lost their lives fighting for our freedom. So I hope that no matter what you're doing this Memorial Day weekend, that you take a moment to remember those and to show some respect and appreciation, and just maybe a good thought or prayers for their family members and friends who have missed them. Gosh, great weather here in Ohio today. Andrea met me at Home Depot. I have a little backyard project I'm going to work on once I get a little solar fountain, but I got an idea from Lisa Hardy, who's a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Canada, and she posted this wonderful thing. So hopefully by next week I'll have it together. I have to go out to the nursery and pick up some flowers for it later today, but hopefully by next week I'll be able to share that with you. And just something fun, a new way to be, new project to do something creative, but give myself a little bit of a break from the paper crafting for an afternoon or so. First of all, I want to give a shout out to, while we're waiting for other people to get on, I want to give a shout out to a mother-daughter demonstrator team from Canada that I have become friends with in the last couple of years. When their team does a card swap, Ashley and Lori almost always send me one of their cards, which is so sweet, so sweet. So this one was made by Lori Zock. She's up in the Ontario, Canada area. And this is fun because I don't have the set at all. And it's a great job, and it's a great card for me to show off to other people. So that was made by Lori Zock. And then her daughter, Ashley Zock, made this one for me. So thank you both to them. If you're in fact, I have their address right here, I think. If you're in or near Ingersoll, Ontario, Canada, and you're looking for a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, Lori Zock and Ashley Stock will take great care of you. You can just contact me and I'll pass on their information. Stampin' Up! Does not allow us to sell out of our markets. So Canadians sell to Canadians, Americans to Americans, people in South Pacific, Europe, the same. We all have to work within our own markets. So sometimes I've got people watching who are from Canada or other markets than the US. And if I know if they're looking for a demonstrator and I know somebody in their area in a different market, I will pass on information. On Tuesday's Facebook Live, I did another version of the stack, slice, and shuffle card technique. I love this technique. I love stack, slice, and shuffle. And the reason being is it never gets old because you can always alter the sizes, the cutting dimensions you use, etc. But these are the cards I made in Tuesday's Facebook Live. I've been working on the blog post for it, so look for that later today. I need to add the photos to that blog post on stampinpiece.com before it goes live. So I'll be working on that a little bit later. And with that, you'll also see that I made a second set of stack, slice, and shuffle cards, the same, but in a different color scheme, which is always fun. And please know that, and this was a comment that came up after the last Facebook Live I did on Tuesday. And this person said she's realized that she doesn't have to have all the same products that I'm using in my demonstrations. It's okay. And actually, maybe it was the split front card that she was referring to. But I think this goes for all of my demonstrations. Most often, you can recreate that same layout, that same fun fold card, whatever it may be, using products of your own. Don't discard some of these demonstrations and cards because you think, well, I don't have the Pose Peony stamp set. Replace it with something you have, or if it's a must-have, you really, really want it, add it to your order. But you can still do all of these things using products that you have. The goal here is to share with you and keep you enjoying stamping and paper crafting long into the future. Okay? All right, today I'm going to show you how to make a quick and easy double flap fun fold card. And it's so easy that we're going to make two at the same time because as the saying goes, if you can make one card, you might as well make two because it's that easy. And that way you have one to use now and you have one to use later. You can build up your stash, use them as gift ideas, etc. So let me flip my camera around. I'll show you the featured stamp set and we'll get started making two cards for you. Oh, come on. Okay, today's featured stamp set is from our new annual catalog, and it is called You Are Beautiful. It is one of the stamp sets that was designed by one of our $1 million sales achievers. And I've already forgotten the name of that person. But if you look in the catalog, you can go to the back, look up You Are Beautiful stamp set. It will tell you the page number, and then it will tell you which demonstrator designs inspired this stamp set. And I really kind of like it. First of all, I like the font that's used, and I can see myself using all of these sentiments, but I really like the simplicity and the elegance of this. So, okay. I'm going to show you how to cut the cardstock to make two of these double flap cards. They'll be exactly the same, okay? But we're going to make two of them. So you're going to start with 8.5 by 11 cardstock, and we need to cut this down to 7 1/4 inches wide. So 8.5 minus 7 1/4 is 1 1/4, right? 7 1/4, 7.5, 8.5, yes. So I'm just going to cut off 1 1/4. If you don't want to do the math, open up the arm of your paper trimmer and just take that left edge to 7 1/4 inches, okay? So either way you measure, you want to end up with a piece of cardstock that's 7 1/4 by 11 inches, okay? Then I'm going to score this at 3 inches. And then I'm going to cut this in half, have it in the horizontal position, and I'm cutting it in half at 5.5 inches. So now these are going to be my card bases. So essentially, I cut my card bases so that they're 7.25 inches across the top and 5.5 inches tall. And then I scored at the 3-inch mark. So when you fold these, you want the fold on the right side of your card base and the flap on the front. Now I need 2 pieces that are 4.25 by 4.25 inches. Our cardstock is 8.5 inches in this direction. And that will give me 4.25 inch pieces. So I cut off 4.25 inch off one end. I'm going to score it at 1 inch. And then I'm going to turn it to the horizontal position and score at, or cut at 4.25 inches, okay? Now, if you want to cut these individually, it's easier for you doing the math, that's perfectly fine. And I will post the dimensions for a single card when I put this on my blog, stampinpeace.com. But a lot of times I just want to take the few extra minutes to show you how to cut the cardstock so that you can do 2 cards at once. It's actually quite a time saver. So the first thing I'm going to do is give all my score lines a good crease with my bone folder. And then we're going to put these large and small card bases together. So on the larger one, you want the fold on the left and the small flap on the top, all right? On these smaller pieces, you want the fold on the right side and the flap to be underneath, all right? And we're going to, you can use any kind of adhesive you like, but I'm going to suggest multi-purpose glue on these small flaps. And you'll see why in just a moment. Now I'm going to adhere this to the larger card front. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to push these 2 out of the way. The way I'm going to do that is I'm turning this, I can do it this way, but for me it's easier to work this way. I want this fold of the small card base to line up with the edge, what is the right edge of my large card base. And the adhesive is just on that flap. So I'm just going to kind of center it left to right here and press it down into place. I've used the multi-purpose glue so that if I need to do any shifting, it's real easy for me. Sometimes I like to do that too and make sure the edges match up really well. And that looks good to me. So I just now press that into place. I'll do the same thing with my second card bases. Kind of centering left to right, or what's actually going to be top and bottom. Lining up that small fold, the fold of the small card base with that right edge of the large card base. Okay, these will be vertical cards. The next thing I'm going to do is put the white on the inside of my cards. So as usual, these two pieces measure 4 inches by 5 1/4. Got one for each of these double flap fun fold cards. And then you'll see that it hides or covers most of that Shy Shamrock small flap that we glued in place. So you're going to attach the large and the small card base together before you add the white to the inside. All right. So now let's decorate these. For the left flap, the larger flap, I've cut 2 pieces of Shy Shamrock Designer Series paper, and these measure 2 3/4 inches by 5 1/4. 2 3/4 by 5 1/4. I'm just going to layer this on that large flap on the left. I'm doing basically a pretty much monochromatic card. You'll see when I embellish it, there is a little punch of color, little punch of a different color. The next thing I did was cut, I want to check my measurements, 2 pieces of Designer Series paper. This just happens to be the other side of the same print I already used, but it did take 2 pieces of the 6x6 DSP. But for the small card flap, I'm going to use the stripe side. And again, these second pieces of DSP measure 3 inches by 4 inches. And that's the basis of my double flap card. From here, we're going to do a little bit of stamping. I cut 2 pieces of basic white cardstock. These measure, let's see, 3 1/4. Yes, 3 1/4 by 2 1/2. 3 1/4 by 2 1/2 inches. And I'm using Shy Shamrock to stamp the sentiments. So this is a Bible verse. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and he will direct your path. This could be used for lots of different reasons to send cards, especially encouragement cards. The other thing I want to do before I adhere these is, actually I'll adhere them and then I'll talk about the last bit of stamping I'm going to do, because I probably need to show you something. So I'm just centering this on the front of that small card base. Okay. And the size of this, and whether you do it horizontally or vertically, is going to depend on the stamped image or sentiment that you use. Okay. If I was using something like Poised Peony stamp set, the flower from that, like I used yesterday, where was that? If that's what I was doing, I would have a piece of white in the opposite direction. Or if I was using a smaller sentiment, I might do that with a small flower. So keep that in mind. Your white piece will be dictated by the size of the white piece, will be dictated by whatever sentiment or image you choose to use. Okay, now you know this is an in color Shy Shamrock. Lots of times when we get new ink pads, they can be very, 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 very inky. Let me show you an example of that. Look at this one that I first stamped. Okay, it's not bad, but it's a little blotchy. And you can't really see any of the fine detail of the stamp that's intended to make some areas darker and some areas lighter. Same thing when I was making my samples and stamping the smaller image. See what happens? It gets a little blotchy, almost like a little bubbly. And the reason for that is it's a brand new ink pad, so it's going to come very well inked up, right? And it will take most of our stamps well, but sometimes we just need to move the ink around a little bit. So you can take a piece of scrap paper, a little, what do I say? Like the paper, Pampered Chef pan scrubbers, the back of a wooden spoon, that sort of thing. So that when you move the ink, you're just pushing it to the sides. Can you see how it's accumulating there? And I've done this a few times since I was using this stamp set today. Then you can tap, and again, tap lightly. You don't have to push hard. And now I'm getting much nicer images than that first one, right? So just be aware of that. That's it's not a flaw in your ink pads by any means. Trust me, if your ink pads were not inked up well, you wouldn't like that when you first got them, right? But sometimes, especially with distinctive stamp sets, ones that have lots and lots of detail like this, sometimes we need to move around that ink. We need to push some of the ink away to the outsides of the pad. And then, don't run away from me, but I'm just going to do some real quick fussy cutting here, because I wanted to use this smaller stamped image of the leaves and berries to act as an embellishment on my card fronts. And then we'll stamp with the larger leaf image on the envelope. Again, this is Shy Shamrock I'm using, one of our newest in colors. How many of you are loving the in colors? I know I've been showing them a lot and using them a lot, but it's just fun. I love all the colors. I love all 5. I love them individually. I love how they, how all 5 work together. And I love how we can mix and match these new in colors with others in our core color collection. Deborah Woodby, thank you so much for being here, for watching, for sharing. The more the merrier. So I appreciate you being here and I appreciate you sharing. Oops, I realized I was out of the viewing screen a bit. You can see this fussy cutting is not real hard. One thing to keep in mind too, and it's something that we don't often think about. So many times people are having a hard time cutting, and it's because they're trying to move their scissors around, when really our hand and our scissors move very little when we're cutting. It's actually moving the paper into positions that gives us the most success and makes it easiest for us to see exactly where we're cutting. Okay, so I've got that. And I'm going to add these to my card front. And then, you know, this isn't working. And then add a tiny bit of bling. Let's do this. And I'm going to put a second mini dimensional on, but I kind of want to take a look at where I need that to put that. It's always easier to lay your pieces onto your card and think about where that adhesive or that dimensional needs to go before doing so. So I'm just going to put it here. I want it to hang off a little bit. And then let me close this up to avoid any messes. Then I'm going to add, oh, let's stamp our envelope. And then we'll add some embellishments to the cards. So same thing here. And I'm actually going to stamp this on some scrap paper to see if I do, because this is a much bigger stamp, to see if I want to move some of that ink away from the center. It's still a little splotchy, not terrible, but I'm going to give it a try and move some of that ink a wee bit. And again, when the more juicy your ink pads are, just tap them lightly. Don't press the ink or press the stamp into the ink pad. Then you're going to get way too much. Okay, that's a little better. Same thing here. Yeah. And using your, you won't always have to be moving that ink around. Over a time period of you using your ink pads, the ink's naturally going to be, some's being used up, right? We're picking up ink out of our ink pad, and some will just spread a little bit as well in your ink pad. So that is definitely not something you need to do all the time, but I did want to show you that as an example, because sometimes it is necessary to do that when we have brand new ink pads that are a bit juicier than the ones we've been using for a while. Okay, so we have lots of great embellishments to choose from, but today I'm using the Purple Fine Shimmer Gems. Okay, and there's two shades of purple, and then this, like, I would say Berry Burst or Blackberry color, probably more Blackberry Bliss. And okay, now here's one thing. I have this little pet peeve about typically, not always, but typically when we're adding embellishments, we work in odd numbers, correct? And I see what they did here, but they've got 6 little berries. I suppose 3 for each leaf set. And you know, I put 6 embellishments on in there and I didn't like it. So I switched it up. And the way I did that was, I'm going to use one large one that will kind of fill in the middle there. One large embellishment. And then I'm just going to use 4 of the small ones around it. And that's okay if some, oops, I don't know where that one went. That's okay if some of the green shows behind those, because in the natural world, that's what would be happening, right? So there's my 5, and I like how that looks. I don't know where that other one just flew to. And let's see, on this one, I think I'll go ahead and use, I'm going to use the lighter shade. These also look pretty awesome. So again, I'm going to go with one large one kind of in the middle here, and then put 4 smaller shimmer gems around it. So if I can scoot that a little bit. So there are my 2 quick and easy double flap fun fold cards. And again, my featured stamp set today is You Are Beautiful. Okay, You Are Beautiful. And because there are those 3 different colors in the purple shimmer gems, I want to show you my sample using that 3rd color. This kind of the Blackberry Bliss color. All right, it's got the purple, a lighter purple, and then this Blackberry Bliss color. All right, so all of them. And there are way many more embellishments that Stampin' Up! Offers that would work well on these cards. Okay. All right, who is interested in receiving one of these cards made with the You Are Beautiful stamp set? If you are, please comment now, double flap fun fold card. Okay, type in the comments, double flap fun fold card. And if you do that, I will put your name into the drawing to possibly receive one of these cards made today. Okay, any questions about what's going on? Like I said, later today, I will have the blog post up for the cards made in Tuesday's Facebook Live, which was the Stack, Slice, and Shuffle cards. And then hopefully I'll have these up by tomorrow, probably late tomorrow. And what other reminders can I give you? Stampin' Up! Starter Kit promotion. Oh, one of the best ever. You choose $125 a product. You're going to pay $99 plus tax. It ships free. And Stampin' Up! Is going to give you $82 worth of in-color products free. That's the 5 new in-color ink pads, the set of 5 Stampin' Right markers, a package of the in-color DSP, and an assorted pack of the in-color cardstock. You can't beat this deal. That is $207 worth of Stampin' Up! Products for just $99 plus tax and no shipping. So basically, it's like getting all of that half price. And that is good through the end of May. Of course, I would love for you to join with me and be a part of my Merry Stampers team. Some of my Merry Stampers are watching today. If you have any questions about joining or what you might expect from me and my team, just give me a holler and let me know. You can also go to stampinpiece.com, click on join in the menu bar, and there's lots of information there that can answer your questions. Let's see. Stampin' storage. Many times people ask me where I get my paper storage from. It comes from Stampin' Storage. They are having a Memorial Day sale, and it's not just one day. It's already started on the 21st. It started on Tuesday, and it goes through Monday, and they are offering 15% off all of their products. I use their magnet cards, their punch storage. Trying to think what else I have from them. Paper storage is the biggie. Oh, I've got the plastic sleeves. I'll show you what I mean by that. So I invested in the plastic sleeves. So in my paper storage that I have right beside my desk, what's behind me is extra inventory so that I constantly have some. Because when I do classes to go, I might use 3 packs of the same color. But what I do in the stacks beside me is I open up a pack of the cardstock, but then I have this sleeve where I keep my scraps for them. And then they both fit together in that. That helps me use up my scraps when I have them together with the cardstock sheets. So if you're interested in getting your place organized, go to stampinpiece.com. Tuesday's post was all about or included that information on the Stampin' Up! Starter Kit special as well as the Stampin' Storage sale. All right, everybody, have a good rest of your day. I wish you a good weekend. Here in the United States, it's a long weekend. Monday is a federal holiday, Memorial Day, in which we honor and remember the servicemen and women who have died fighting for our country. And I guess that's it. So I will see you next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. If you have any questions or I can help you with anything at all, please reach out. The easiest way to get a hold of me is to go to my website blog, stampinpiece.com, click contact. You fill out the contact information. There's space for you to ask your question or tell me what you need help with. Alrighty. Happy stamping, everybody. Have a good day.